looks like we're live. And we're just gonna wait a couple of seconds here to get people on. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and share this on Twitter. Alright, looks like we have 18 people on right now. Hey Felix, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey Indy Star, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Alright, so I'm just gonna share this on Twitter real quick. And for those that just tuned in, we're gonna be doing a Q&A Starbase flyover on a flight simulator. And okay, so tweet has been sent.
Yeah, it looks like Streamlabs sent out a tweet when you went live there, so we should be live.
All right, so to start it off, my name is Mauricio, otherwise known as RGV, and today we're going to be doing a Starbase flyover via flight simulator. And this shouldn't really take too long, to be honest. And I have two guests with me here. I have Indian Star and Felix, which is our moderator on Discord. I don't know if you guys want to say something here.
Hi, Mauricio. This is Indian Star. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to watch you run your flight simulator.
All right.
And this is Felix. I am the admin for Mauricio's Discord server, and I help out with the production for the live streams we have every Saturday.
Techno Dino is actually our techno magic man.
Technodino is my Discord username you may know me by, but my actual name is Felix, so.
And just like the cartoon, Felix has a bag of tricks that fixes everything.
I wish.
All right, just gonna wait a little bit longer here to get more people on. In the meantime, just gonna change this thumbnail because the thumbnail I put did not load correctly. Oh no, it actually did. It does show the thumbnail. All right, so
I was showing the thumbnail.
All right, I'm just gonna get started here. And this is gonna be a typical flyover from the same airport that we usually take off from. There's gonna be from Harlingen Airport and runway 17 left, which is our typical one. Let's see here. So I'm using a keyboard, so just bear with me here with this. Let's see. I hope I don't go off the runway.
I'm sure you won't.
No, I'm going off the runway. This keyboard. The
It's very hard. It's very hard with a keyboard because you only have little, like, the controls, you're either hard left or not left at all. Whereas with a yoke, you can do like slight left, you can have a partial input or like a controller. So it's much easier to control it with something like a joystick or even better, like a physical yoke, because that gives you much more precision when controlling the aircraft.
But we have liftoff nonetheless.
Yeah, this
Mauricio is in the air.
This is nothing compared to the real deal. This is the exact airport that we usually take off from. And
you
right
go
now,
from Harlingen?
yes, we take off from Harlingen. Okay. And usually, look, let me switch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, usually we start to rotate at about, right now we're actually pretty low, 300 feet. We got our, can you see the mouse pointer?
Yes.
Wait,
Yes. Yeah, we can.
So right here is the altitude.
Yep.
Our climb rate, the trim, flaps, airspeed, we're actually going pretty slow.
Is this what it's like really when you're in the cockpit as well? Because I know you're learning as well.
Yes, it's pretty accurate. Everything's pretty much set. The flight simulator itself is not too realistic in my opinion.
Oh,
especially
it's not. Okay.
Especially if you're using a keyboard. I
Yeah.
assume that once I get the yoke and the rudder pedals, I think things are gonna be a little bit different.
It'll be a lot more accurate, a lot more realistic once you have the flight controls, and they actually have more than just the yoke. They have like a that for the throttles, and they have I've seen people who've made their own custom displays for like the GPS and for some of the like dials and instruments that are on the cockpit. Um, you can actually make a bunch of those, and Microsoft Flight Simulator has the ability to support those type of accessories, which if you put enough time and effort, money into it, you can make a pretty crazy realistic simulator out of it.
Yeah, I've seen those online. They have monitors on the side, and it actually looks like a real cockpit. And
You get
what was that again?
I was gonna say you can get some of these super wide monitors that are like 60 inches wide, but are like the standard height of a monitor, and they curve all the way around, and they have a really immersive appearance similar to that of like being in an actual cockpit.
Yeah, I've seen those. Those are extensive. I don't think I'll ever get to that point. This is just for fun, to be honest. I'm just playing around with this. I haven't actually. I don't usually use it too much, just because of the how much space after the updates, and it just uses up too much storage on my laptop here. That's probably
Yeah,
the only reason I don't use it that much.
MS Flight Sim is a massive, massive game that it takes up a couple. It's depending on the settings you installed it with. It can take up a couple hundred gigabytes worth of storage on your drive, and most computers, and probably like 90% of computers, can't even run it whatsoever, just because it's so the graphics resolution is so high on it, even on the lower end of the settings.
Hey, in this story, I was meaning to ask you: have you ever been in a Cessna like this before?
Not in real life. I used to play the old flight simulator back in the day when it first came out, and it was only on PC. So that's as close as I've ever come. I've been on regular planes a lot, but yeah, I would love to go on one of these. Love to go on one of these. I've been in a helicopter. That was fun.
Yeah, I've never actually been in a helicopter. Um, I would want to. I think those are different experience.
Yeah.
Definitely. How about you, Felix? Have you been in a helicopter before?
I have been in a helicopter a long time ago when I was actually pretty little, like when I was about 12 or maybe 11 or 12 years old, but not really recent enough that I can remember it too well.
Yeah.
However, I have been in a Cessna. Me and you went for a flyover back in, oh, it's been a while. September, I think it was September, right?
Right. It was several months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Cessna that we use is I believe it's a 172R aircraft. Not really sure the model, but the layout is pretty much the same. Um,
Yeah.
they're very similar. Right here we got the our altitude indicator. Right now it looks we're at 4,000, almost 4,300 passing it, and there's our airspeed indicator right here. So it does take a while. It actually does take a while to get to 10,000 feet, but these aircraft they climb pretty well as far as that goes. So it should take almost the exact time it takes on a real aircraft. Although it feels longer though on this one. I'm not sure why.
It is like about it took like maybe 30 minutes or so normally to get over to Starbase and get above the TFR.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds
How
about
long?
right.
So it takes 30 minutes to get up to 10,000 feet? Or is it just the distance that takes
Um,
30 minutes?
Before, when the TFR was lower, he was able to just fly direct from Harlingen, just straight towards Starbase. Now he has to fly out directly towards the Gulf of Mexico,
Oh,
and
wow.
then sometimes make a loop or two out over the
To
Gulf of
gain the
Mexico
altitude.
to gain the needed altitude before he can go over to towards Starbase. Just simply because you want to make dead sure that you're well over 10,000 before you get anywhere near the TFR, because you don't want to
Get
accidentally
pinged.
cross that
Unless you're
that line.
Isaac. Or what's his name? Sorry, Jared Isaacman. Excuse
Yeah,
me.
Jared Isaacman.
And you have a jet.
He's friends with Elon, so he can fly his jet inside the TFR.
I worked for Elon. Does that count? Just kidding.
Look at the tail number on my aircraft.
I can't see it. Oh, look at that. That's awesome.
Oh wow, that's
That is
really cool.
awesome. You know, you're going to actually have to do this one day.
Yeah,
Get
When
a
you get your
custom wrap
license and
job.
you're flying. Yeah. Get his like call letters to be RGV.
Or you can get your plane custom painted with their RGB colors.
yeah. I like this color scheme, to be honest.
And it is a
Mm,
nice color scheme.
it looks like I'm deviating a little bit. Let me go back into. Technically, you're not supposed to go in the clouds when we were flying VFR, but this is just a flight simulator. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, and small aircraft like a Cessna 172, you ideally want to stay outside of the clouds as much as possible. Do you have live weather turned on, Mauricio, or did you configure it?
No, I configured it. This is actually
Okay.
just when is this from? I'm not really sure. I don't think it's live weather. I think I just put scattered clouds, just because
Ah,
I want.
okay.
One of the reasons I wanted to show how it looks like is because some people don't know, but we fly above the clouds almost 100% of the time.
It's very rare for you to have clouds up at 10,000 feet like where you fly.
Right. There's some clouds way up there, but it's
Sometimes you
there.
get the big thunderstorms that come across with the high cumulonimbus clouds that come through. But
Yeah.
the majority of that fog type, those blanket clouds that block you every time, are actually way lower than where you're flying.
Right. Yeah. Those clouds we stay away from 100% of the time. We don't want to go into
Yeah,
those type of clouds.
you don't want to go anywhere near thunderstorms. Those can be pretty turbulent, have a lot of lightning, rain, whatever. And you don't want to run into that when you're flying a small airplane like a Cessna.
Yeah, exactly.
Any airplane, really,
Like for
right?
something like, yeah, I mean, there's people are trained to fly in IMC conditions, which is just flying with your instruments. So I'll show you here, like when you go into a cloud. I'm not really the one to show this particular because I'm just barely learning. I'm a student pilot, but as you can see, I'm already looking at. If you look at the instruments, where we're on the right bank, just because I can't see the horizon. But
Yeah,
you
this is what's known as IFR, right?
correct. So right now we're at the altitude of 7,000. What is it? Can't even say 7,200 feet. And I'm just looking at the instruments here. I'm not really sure. I'm not trained to fly like this, but this is a flight simulator, so it's fine. But yeah, you don't want to do this in real life. It gets really sketchy up there when you're trying to fly like that. But our
Very
pilots,
easy.
yeah, very easy to get disoriented in these type of
Yeah.
conditions. So
Suddenly
we're
you're when you come out of the clouds, you're like, "Oh, I didn't realize I was here anymore." And then suddenly you're either like going up or going down or steering in one direction or the other. Then because you can't see the horizon, you can't sense movement or roll as much as you can when you can see the horizon.
yeah, exactly. So it's that's just to give people an idea. This those are probably conditions that if you're familiar with the Kobe situation, um, but they were in the different. That was a different scenario. That was I think it was like foggy, extremely foggy conditions, and plus they had a lot of terrain, so they had hills and so forth. It wasn't even terrain like it is here.
Yeah, fog is by far the worst because that means you actually have to set your plane completely down on the ground with the with only the instruments to guide you, and that is harder than just simply flying through something like clouds, like you were doing a minute ago.
Yeah, as you can see right now, I'm supposed to be going towards Starbase, but I started heading south, and I just realized that just now.
Oh
So
yeah.
I changed direction not knowingly, on this simulator here. So I got to start heading back towards east, and it looks like we're still climbing. Looks like we're almost at 8,000 feet. We're at 10,000 8,000 feet. It's pretty up here, by the way. Um, it's kind of therapeutic sometimes.
Yeah, the
I would
clouds.
imagine. Go
Yeah,
ahead, Felix.
clouds can be very pretty, especially even from like when you fly commercial airliners. You sometimes look down. I like taking the
Hmm.
early morning flights right as the sun comes up, and I'm on the East
Hmm.
Coast, so oftentimes I'll take off and be flying west, and the sun will come up behind you and cast really pretty gold rays across the top of the clouds. It's quite a nice thing to see.
Yeah, there's one time we were flying to India, and we actually crossed the international date line. So I literally saw the sun go down and come right back up. That was the only time I've ever seen it, and it was amazing.
Oh wow.
Look at this view. It looks way better in real life, though. The graphics in real life are sharper.
Yeah, for sure. The resolution of the human eye is many magnitudes higher than what you get in a simulator.
So this is part of the reason, if you see here, why sometimes we don't conduct these flyovers. Yeah, I probably shouldn't go into that cloud. Just because there's really no visibility to the ground. There's really sometimes we just don't do these flyovers just for this particular reason.
You get a very pretty view of the clouds and of a nice blue sky, but the purpose of the flyover is to take pictures of Starbase, not the top of white clouds. So there's no real point. There's no real point renting an aircraft and paying a pilot to go for a flyover when you're not going to be able to take photos of what you were there for.
Yeah, exactly. It's happened a few times where we just, I don't want to say it, but we kind of roll the dice and hope for the best when we get there, and it just doesn't work out. So in essence, I spent all this money to do these flyovers and for just to see the top of the cloud. So it's really not worth it. Sometimes it's better just to be safe and monitor the weather forecast a little bit better to make better informed decisions on when to go out there. Like I'm already banking to the right, and we're clear
Yeah.
from the clouds. It's strange because we're almost at 9,000 feet and we're still in the clouds.
These are some pretty puffy high clouds, which is not super normal for Starbase actually. Most of the clouds you see there are closer to the ground than this.
Right. And usually by this time we would have already been clear from the clouds. I'm going to change the weather here so you can just see how it looks without all these clouds. Let me see if I can. What is this? Oh, damn. So, yeah, there's a big difference. Alright, so it looks like this is what a clear day looks like. And Starbase is right off. Let me see. It's gonna be around this area right here. Do you remember when we did the flyover? Was it this clear, or were there clouds?
There was a big thunderstorm off over to Mexico. I remember that. There's a big tall cloud that we were worried about coming over. And luckily it didn't. We were worried it was going to come over there. There was a few little clouds, like little puffy clouds, about maybe 2 or 3,000 feet that below us that were kind of patchy a little bit. But other than that, it was really clear. We got some great photos that time. I took a bunch of photos too.
Yeah, I definitely remember that cloud that was, you know, approaching Starbase. I think it actually did, but we got
It
out
did
of there before.
eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were in a hurry because we saw that cloud coming over and we knew we had to get the photos and get out of there before that cloud got over there because otherwise you'd have to fly through that and you really don't want to fly through a storm that was that big because it was a big one.
Yeah. Yeah, times like that when something like that's approaching, the pilot usually tells us, we got like 5 minutes, so get your shots and so we can get out of here. But okay, so right now we reached the altitude of 10,700 feet. You see it right here,
Yep.
and this is typically the time that we start to level off. We stop climbing at this point, and like I said, it's strange just because we reach that altitude way faster than we do in real life. In real life, whoever follows us on the flight radar, they notice that we do a lot of loops around South Padre Island just to get to the altitude. Now this probably has to do with the engine performance, with the density of the air, and other factors that affect the climb rate on the aircraft. But we've just never got into this altitude this fast.
Yeah, weather is a big one. I'm assuming probably the warmer the temperature, probably the faster you would climb up there. So different things. The wind, if you're flying into the wind, you'd probably climb faster as well as and that could be a big factor. Is if the wind is blowing towards you there, then you would actually be moving a little bit slower forward than normal, and you'd be climbing faster, which may be what's caused you to reach altitude faster than in real life.
Right. There's a lot of factors that go into that. The primary one's going to be the engine performance on the aircraft. As you know, we used to fly the Cessna 150, and we had to upgrade our aircraft just because that one would reach the altitude of 10,500 feet.
It
But the
took a
mo-
long time.
it took a long time, and the moment we opened the window, which in this case, let me show you. Oh, sorry about that. This window right here, this is where I sit, and typically you open this latch right here, and it pulls all the way up, and the wind holds it up. Well, the moment we did that, the aircraft started to lose altitude pretty fast, so we had to abort our flyover at that point.
Just because of the increased drag of having that open window, as well as having the part of the window out in the airstream was just causing so much resistance over the wings that it just knocked. Because that Cessna 150 was just barely holding up at that altitude there.
Yeah, so we never once again use that aircraft. It's just not worth it. Takes forever, like you mentioned, And so this is the altitude that we usually fly at, which is, you can see, it's pretty high. And I mean, you wouldn't know because of the photos that I take. They don't look like we take them that high. But but yeah, it's pretty high.
But
Like
yeah,
if you,
when you look out the window and look down at Starbase looks really tiny, but that lens that you've got in that camera just really powerful and can capture very, very detailed images even from this high up. It's impressive.
right here we have Starbase. There's the launch site right here, and we just passed over the build site over in this direction. We got Mexico on this side. There's the Rio Grande River. And at this point, I'm going to drop altitude because you can't really see the details of Starbase. The thing is that in Microsoft Flight Simulator, they haven't updated it to reflect Starbase. I don't think they ever will. Um, what I have here is actually a mod that I actually downloaded. I forget who posted it, but I think somebody else had done another one, a little bit more detailed one. If anybody has a new mod, I'd be more than happy to download that or pay you guys for it. And we're
Yeah.
losing altitude fast here. I shouldn't have gone this high. I just wanted to go up this high to show you guys what the altitude looks like at this point. Like at this point, we'd probably be no, yeah, we'd be in the TFR at this point, so we'd probably be in trouble.
Yeah, if you were
But
down at 9,000 feet where you are, the air traffic control people would probably be shouting at you to leave the area.
yeah, they usually do talk to us most of the time when we're out there. They just want to make sure that we're aware of the TFR and that we don't exceed, um, that we don't lower our altitude past the 10,000 feet. But we're always
Yeah.
at 10,500, 10,900 feet. So that's really not an issue, because usually when you make turns like this, you do lose a little bit of altitude, but once you straighten out, you kind of stabilize. It depends, it just depends. Sometimes you're not watching the altitude the whole time, but you just want to have a good cushion, just so you can be on the safe side here. I'm going to
Yes.
switch this over to the cockpit view just because I want to reduce my throttle down. I forget which one it is. Yeah, I'm going to reduce the throttle back to.
Do you know if we have any questions that you were going to answer? You had mentioned that people would be asking questions potentially.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
so if
mean,
anyone,
right.
go ahead.
No. If anybody has any questions, I think there wasn't that many questions asked. To be honest, this isn't gonna be a really long live stream. Just a quick overview of what we do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis over here at Starbase. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask, and Indy Star can read them out. What were you gonna say, Felix, a little while ago?
I was literally going to say exactly what you said there. I was going to say if someone has a question they would like to ask, just put it in chat and one of us will read it out and we will see if we can answer that for you.
And there's the launch site right there. Yeah, we're dropping altitude pretty fast. We're almost at 6,000 feet.
Daniel asked which controller is controlling that airspace. Mauricio, do you know that one?
Uh,
Okay, so I'm assuming he's referring to the air traffic control for that region.
if I'm not mistaken, it's BRO, which is Brownsville. But
Yeah, I believe that's correct because usually the people that talk on air traffic control when you start approaching the TFR is from the KBRO airport, which is Brownsville International Airport. Brownsville also happens to be a much big, I shouldn't say much bigger. It does happen to be a bigger airport than Harlingen, and they have a proper air traffic control tower there.
if you look at the left side here, you got the Boca Chica village. And the altitude right now, we're at 4,000 feet. So I'm going to try and bring it down to about 500 feet and simulate what Jared would be doing.
You need to switch planes to a fighter jet for that.
Yep.
Do they have those alpha jets in MS Flight Simulator?
I'm not sure. I haven't tried, but I'm
If
pretty sure
not,
they.
somebody if
Pretty sure
not,
they do.
somebody probably has a mod for them.
Yeah, our airspeed's extremely fast right now. This wouldn't be wise to do in real life at this point.
You can cut back on your throttle a little bit, um maybe open your flaps a bit and slow yourself down.
No, the flaps I'll do them once we bring down the airspeed a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, what do we have here? We can already see the launch site.
Oh, there we go.
It's extremely outdated, so don't expect the best from this.
But you get an idea of where it was located. What altitude are you at now, Mauricio?
We're at about 1,000 feet at this point, and we're dropping fast, so I'm gonna have to stabilize here and bring my airspeed down a lot.
Convert some of that airspeed into lift and
Yeah. Yeah, airspeed's starting to go back. We're at 130 knots, and we're almost at. Actually, we're pretty low. We're at 300 feet.
If I recall correctly, the first flyover you did in the Cessna was at 1800. Is that am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, that's about right. That's about right. We took off for that flyover. We would take off from Brownsville,
Oh yeah.
and there was no TFR, so you could just fly over there, no problem, no whatsoever. There was, however, a drone ban, so you couldn't fly
Yeah,
drones there back then.
that's why you were using this. Originally, when you did your first flyover at all, that was actually with your drone, right?
Right, that was back in, if I'm not mistaken, back in 2018.
Yeah, that was back when they were just getting started. And then once it kind of became popular down there, a lot of people started flying drones over there and flying so low that they had to put a drone ban in place over the area. So in order for you to be able to still take pictures, you had to fly a something that wasn't a drone, which is why you started flying the Cessna, which I believe was the 150 at the time. And 1800 feet MSL was like the probably a safe altitude to fly at, where you could also take really good pictures, and you didn't even need a special telephoto lens for that. You could get great shots even with a pretty wide angle.
Right, I'm gonna pause it right here, just so that we can just get a good view of the external
It,
cameras here.
it's a shame you can't do active pause in real life.
Oh no, that would be great. So we're right on top of the launch site, and like I said, this is extremely outdated. We have the launch tower, the pillars here for the launch mount. We got the orbital tank farm over there. The landing pad, which is non-existent right now. And we have, I'm not sure which starship this is. Is this supposed to be Mark 1? Is that what it's supposed to be?
No, it's probably going to be SN8,
That's an 8,
but
right?
don't think it'll be
Yeah,
Mark
I
1 because Mark
believe
1
that's
was. Sorry, go
I
ahead.
believe I believe that's SN8, and the reason I can tell is because behind you you can see they started on the orbital launch tower and the launch pad, and they hadn't started on that when Mark 1 was being built.
Right, you're right.
And isn't Hoppy like Mark 1 or 2?
No, I,
Hoppy came before the original Mark 1, the one that exploded, well, didn't explode, the one that popped during cryo. Um but but since then they had like they didn't have the nose cone on them at the launch site. The first one to have the nose cone put on it at the launch site, I believe, was SN8, which would probably be the one you're looking at there.
I've noticed that sometimes I've landed on the landing pad here before, and sometimes there's like little people walking around.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, those the test stand A and B don't look nothing like the real deal. But I mean, it is what it is. At least we have something, you know.
So someone there in chat, Dominic asked, do you have to file any special flight plans because of the proximity to the Mexican border?
No, no. We just so when we take off, we just say our intentions. What do we want to do? And in this case, we just tell them that we're headed towards the SpaceX sites, and they automatically know what we're talking about,
Ah, yeah.
and
The
they
the
just
controllers there are probably pretty familiar because you fly every week now, so they probably know you and know, oh, this is Mauricio flying to do his weekly flyovers.
yeah. I've never thought about that, but they probably do. They probably know what's up with that, and they just let us know just be aware of that TFR at 10,000 feet, and we usually reply back saying that yeah, we're gonna be at 10,500 for that. and it's usually never is an issue for that. And that's pretty much all the planning we do, weather planning. Um, like today, it's actually a pretty day to be out there flying, except that the aircraft's not even available today. So we're planning on doing this tomorrow, the flyover tomorrow. I'm not sure how the weather's gonna be, so it's all dependent on the weather.
That is something that a lot of people don't actually realize about doing flyovers is it's more than just the weather. Yes, you may have beautiful weather, but you also have to coordinate that with availability for the pilot, availability for the plane, because sometimes the plane is having maintenance or being repaired, or other people are renting it at the time. So you have to have all of those things available, and it then also has to coincide with a good time for your schedule where you can go out and do a flyover, and all of those things just have to line up in order to make one of these flyovers happen. And there's a lot of days where one or multiple of those things just doesn't happen, and you just can't do it.
Right, it's a lot of factors. Pilot availability, aircraft availability is a really important one, and most importantly here, the weather. Everything can fall in line like it usually does sometimes, but if that weather just doesn't cooperate, there's really nothing we can do about that. And then there's times where it's not the weather. It's, I know a few days ago we had another flyover planned, and what happened was that there was actually some fires going on because of the windy conditions, and the pilot just didn't want to fly through that just because it was just that type of weather or those type of conditions. You don't want to be flying through smoke or haze just because of visibility just gets extremely bad. It could be to the point where you're flying in IFR conditions at that point, and that's big. I don't like flying in those conditions. We have filed up to do that. There's situations where it's IFR, but then at the coast it's clear, so we have to file for IFR clearance to get through all that mess, and then we 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 go to a VFR once we get to the coast, and it's just not a fun situation to be in, especially for one that's not trained in those trained for IFR. I'm just a student pilot at this point, and I'm pretty sure once I get trained for that, I'll be a lot more familiar and confident in those type of conditions. But at this point, I think I'll pass.
Yeah, well, right now you do have a pilot with you he's been flying for many years at this point now, and he's been trained to fly IFR. So um, even while you're learning, if you had to fly IFR for weather for unexpectedly, then he could handle that for you, and also then it could be a learning experience for you because then you would be able to learn how to do it yourself in the future.
Right. It's all in. I'll learn that eventually. Let's see here. That is S&8, right?
Looks like it to me.
All right. So just, I think we're getting close here to. Oh wow, Keith has 600 hours of VFR pilot, of being a VFR only pilot. Pretty good, Keith. Let's go back to the cockpit view, and I think we're just gonna end the stream here shortly. And I'm gonna attempt to land on the landing pad here. Let's see how that goes.
Oh, that's a nice tight space to do that.
Yeah. If I don't succeed, um, I'm just gonna end the stream right there and then.
All right, sounds good to
Let's
me.
see. Let's see here. So I need
The
some room here.
visualizer, Mauricio is playing Microsoft Flight Simulator. I believe it's the 2020 edition. You can download that from Steam or the Microsoft Store. And Dominic, yes, Mauricio does fly. He's a student pilot, but he does have a professional pilot that flies with him because he still is learning and hasn't gotten his full pilot's license yet. Plus, it's a little bit difficult to fly a plane and take pictures at the same time. So while Mauricio's taking pictures, his pilot keeps the plane steady for him so that he can see what he's wanting to take pictures of.
All right, so I'm setting up here to land. I think this might actually not work out just because I'm too far away. I might just do another turnaround here and try it from a different view.
You could land on Highway 4, or you could land on the beach too.
Do you know how to lower the flaps here on this one, the keyboard?
I do not recall what the keyboard shortcut is, but you may be able to press the lever with the mouse in the cockpit there.
It won't do that for some reason. I tried that. I think it's locked in for that. I haven't played this in a while, and they changed up a lot of things after the update.
They must have changed it, yeah.
I think there's a good time to turn around. A little bit more. Crash into SN8. That's what somebody's saying in the chat. That's pretty low. And I might pause it just to figure the whole flap situation out. Can anybody Google what the flap
sure
trigger is so I can figure this out here? Level off here.
By default, to extend the flaps is F8, to decrease them is F6, and to increase them is F7. So F6 and 7 should increase or decrease your flap position.
Let's see. Can't see the flaps. Okay, F7 lowers the flaps.
Awesome.
And the nose goes up like always. Alright, let's see. Yeah, I'm too far off. I'm not gonna make it. I'm gonna have to do another turn.
You can pull your engine up just a little bit. You can land on the highway.
Yeah, at this point I'm gonna land on the beach. Let's see here.
You're flying even closer to the ground than Jared Isaacman.
Oh yeah. I'm at about 80 feet off the ground.
It's a little bit easier to fly that low with a Cessna, because with a jet you're flying like 5 or 6 times faster, and you have far less time to correct for a mistake like you do in a Cessna. So you have to be very skilled to fly at low altitudes at the speed a fighter jet flies, like Jared was.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I don't know if you saw, he replied to me that about the invite to get on one of those Alpha jets.
That's gonna be so cool though, to get to zip around with him. Maybe you even get to fly the Alpha jet a little bit. I know they were letting some of the other people that got to fly with them got to fly the jet, not close to the ground, but got to fly the jet between the airport and the site. So maybe when you go, you'll get to fly a fighter jet.
Is Indian Star still here?
I believe so. Are you still with us, Indian Star?
I'm here, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm here. Just listening.
Awesome.
Yeah, this isn't gonna work out. What am I doing? I'm just taking... I can't get this right.
There's a lot of stuff in between you and that landing pad, actually. It's... Ooh. Oh, rip.
All right,
There's
guys.
a lot of...
Well, wait a minute. We're
there's a lot of stuff in between you and that landing pad, which makes it really hard to get down in there over the cars and land before you run into the base of the launch tower. If someone has a mod for an up-to-date version for a flight simulator that has like the launch tower and a stacked starship, it'd probably be real fun to fly in between the starship and the launch tower on the pad there.
Yeah.
What
and
just
then Elon will
happened?
come after you.
And then you can have Elon come after you.
So I
Yep.
hit the launch tower then, apparently here.
Yeah, you ran into what is the base of the launch tower in construction as of the time of that model, but has since been fully constructed.
If you're going to hit something, might as well hit it while it's in construction. That's all I have to say. They're
Yeah.
already building it, so with a few more layers.
So I
Yeah.
landed right here. And the aircraft is still intact.
With the power of magic, the aircraft is still fully intact.
Hooray! And so is Starship, and that's all that matters.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a rough landing. Alright guys, well this is actually the end of this. I don't think I'm gonna be able to take off from here. I can if I wanted to, but I think we've flown enough here.
I think we had a great flyover for our first time too with you. Thank you.
Right, when you can't do a real
Alright.
flyover, I think it's good just to do one in a flight simulator just to
Yep.
Keep
get
your
things
skills
going.
up.
Yeah, get our
Yeah, for
skills up.
sure.
Alright guys, well before we take off here, if you guys don't know, we're going to be doing a live stream here at 12 p.m. Central Time. We're going to be reviewing the photos for I took these photos at Starbase yesterday. So we got Zach,
Yesterday. So
Yeah,
excited.
we got Thomas, we got Indian Star, we got
Grandpa
Zach,
Joe, yourself. We
and
got a
Zach.
whole all-star team.
Right, and we'll see you guys there shortly. We're gonna go and set up and make sure you set the reminder, and you guys have a nice day. Thank you guys.
Alright.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.